the summer solstice in community.
Join our annual Arts and Wellness Festival to connect, create, and celebrate with the Soultry sisters.
In 2023, we explored what it means to cultivate your sanctuary.
Our 3-day festival highlights BIPOC, women, and queer artists and wellness practitioners based in San Diego.
Each year, we collaborate with featured guest artists to build our festival program, which includes creative expression classes, wellness workshops, and performances.
Day 1 of the festival is all about connection. We begin our festival with a social mixer where attendees enjoy music, dancing, and have an opportunity to meet other attendees, guest artists, and us.
Day 2 of the festival is all about creating. Our arts and wellness workshops give folks an opportunity to explore, embrace, and embody what cultivating your sanctuary means to them.
Day 3 of the festival is all about celebration. There is music, dancing, performances, and an open mic for attendees to share. Without a doubt, we always close with a dance party and teach folks the Soultry strut.
We are grateful for all the memories made each year at our Summer Solstice Arts and Wellness Festival, and we can't wait to see you next year.
In the meantime, remember to keep living vibrant and shining bright. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Before we get started with our Soultry Hangout, let's just wish our Soultry sister, Tony Lynn, a happy birthday. If you don't know, this is the beginning of Pisces season, and Tony is her birthday. February 19th is the first day of Pisces season. So happy birthday, sis. Drop in the chat, happy birthday. Thank y'all for being here. Do you want to share anything about your birthday?
Yeah, it was a lovely time. I turned 30, so it was Tony's 30, flirty, and thriving birthday. So, of course, I was celebrating the whole month. So, thank you all who have shared gifts with me, sweet treats, sweet notes, all of that. I appreciate it all. And then this weekend, I'll talk a little bit about it when we do a check-in, but I went to a concert on Friday. And then my soul sister Jada came down from Philly on Saturday. And then I had my party on Sunday to bring in my birthday, which was on Monday. And then Monday, I just spent time with a bunch of my community. But my party was all things an ode to Tony's favorite things from birth and beyond. And so it was like Pink, Bratz, Hello Kitty, Sanrio, Mean Girls, 13 going on 30, all of those things in one theme to celebrate me entering this new era, this new season. So it was very, very fun, and I loved it.
Yes, I was able to join Tony's birthday festivities via virtual Zoom, and she had a Tony trivia, which was really, really fun. I enjoyed playing that game and also seeing everyone, her East Coast Soultry fam. So that was really, really cool. I was happy. And that's like why we do this, y'all. This is why we do Soultry Hangout, because we believe in creating opportunities for connection. And although I couldn't be all the way in DC, I very much felt a part of Tony's birthday party. So thank you, Tony, for making that happen.
Yes, it was very, very fun. Yes. In this digital age, it can be hybrid. So that was really fun to do with everyone. But welcome, everyone who's tuning in, whether on your YouTube Live, Facebook Live, or Instagram Live. So I am tuning in from the DC area, and I am sipping on it's kind of an eclectic mix. So I have like hibiscus rose tea, and tulsi mixed with salabat, which is like dried ginger that Filipinos we drink, and then honey, and also the tops of strawberries. So if y'all were here like in 2021, 2022, we did I shared like a whole herbal recipe doing a pleasure punch. And part of it was using the tops of strawberries. And so that's something to like, what we like to call in community herbalism is kitchen medicine. So you can use like kitchen scraps So like if you are cutting strawberries to eat, so I ate them for lunch, then instead of throwing away the top with like the leaf and like a little bit of the red, I just put it in a cup and then brew it in my tea. So I have some lovely strawberry going on too. So that's what's happening
Mm.
in my cup here.
Speaking of kitchen medicine, herbalist Tony um, recommended a concoction for me to soothe my voice. So last week, I lost my voice. Saturday, I lost my voice completely. And Tony's tonic, I will call it Tony's tonic. Tony's tonic has really helped me come back to be able to be here with y'all with a voice. So it's ginger and turmeric and honey. That's the essential part of it. And then I added cinnamon because I like my drink sweet. This turmeric is doing too much. The turmeric is turmericing.
It's
So
healing you.
I know it's the best part, right? Because it's inflammatory. But I added like the honey and the cinnamon to give it a little sweeter taste with a ginger kick, and it's addicting. I actually like it. Like, yes, it's kitchen medicine, but it's got me like gulping it down. I'm drinking like 40s a day,
Nice. That's the purpose of it. So yay.
and I'm tuning in from San Diego.
Yes. And I am wearing my Pali Roots bandana, a thrifted kimono with butterflies on it because butterflies are my angels and
Oh
spirits
yeah.
connecting with me. And then a green sports bra that I got at a swap. So secondhand down here. Oh, and then earrings that my friend Chinwendu gifted for my birthday. So just in a little assortment of
Yes.
things.
We love to do an outfit check. I want to shout out Alyssa Creative. We share the same name. That's why they are so great. And these are earrings. They are an interdisciplinary artist and they happen to make earrings as well. And so I got these. I normally don't do big earrings like this big, but with this hair getting bigger, I need to like proportion. So I was like, let me go for it. And I like it so far.
Nice. Nice. I love a big earring. I'm team big earring.
Yes, you
Um,
are.
and then we have on Instagram, Divine Light Consciousness sharing that the tea is good to help with womb cleansing as well. That's nice.
Mm.
And from San Diego as well. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, so if you're tuning in, you can comment below, yeah, where you're tuning in from, what you're sipping on, and all that good stuff.
Yes, and if you're here for our theme, we are doing our Soultry Book Club featuring the book The Artist's Way. We are in we're reviewing week 6 and we're
Stop.
heading into week, huh?
Yeah, we're doing week 6.
Yeah, we're reviewing week 6. So let us know if you've been following along. Let us know if you are just learning about The Artist's Way. Let us know in the chat. But yeah, we are getting into that. That is what is on the menu for today's discussion. But before we start that, we want to remind you to join our book club app. Make sure to be on there. You get updates on when we have our live discussions. Make sure to follow us on social media. We do post quotes, we post updates to kind of give you the day to day of how we're working through the artist way. And also make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because that is where you're going to get all of the updates and the replays as you follow along the book. And then we have some February events coming up, and I'm going to offer it to Tony to talk about an event that is happening this weekend in the DC area.
Yes, so February 20 month, we had lots of awesome things happening. So if you're in the DMV area, I'm teaching a yoga class in collaboration with Treehouse in DC. So it's a free flow yoga event with Soul Treehouse. So it's both of us. Um, and we'll do a little bit of reading from some Black women texts, and then an hour flow, and then a community discussion. So it's going to be really, really great way to tap into community, celebrate Black History Month, uplift, reading as wellness, and to be in community with you all. So go to our website, soultrysisters.com, or the link in our bio on our Instagram to sign up.
Yes, very exciting. And if you're on the West Coast and in San Diego, there's another event happening on the leap year on February 29th. I'll be performing along with three other amazing local dancers, a special performance for Leap to Successes fundraising event. They are a woman empowerment organization that since the year one of Soultry Sisters, we have been in community with them. And we really love using our platform to amplify the work that they're doing for women. And I hope that you can join me. The event is 6:30 to 8:30. So 6:30 will be like a reception where you get to network and meet other folks and get to know the folks in the program, the founder. And then at 7:30, my performance opens up the ceremony. So we're the opening act. So they're going to be, Ashley Nicole is going to be sharing some of her poetry. And she actually has been a part of some of our Bloom events, sharing her work as a writer, as we talk about writing through healing. So it's a full circle moment where we get to at year 5 kind of meet people that we became in community with our first year of Soultry. So very special day to celebrate the leap year. Hope you can join.
Yes, and it's a leap year, so so much abundance coming into this year. So just right on theme with week 6. And then Kenny's comment, we're halfway through. Yes, there's 12 weeks in the Artist Way journey of creative recovery. So we're halfway, y'all. So stay the
Mm-hmm.
course. We're here to, inspire you all to keep going, to be an accountability for all of us. So thank you all for tuning in. And for the folks who watch the replay as well. Thank you, because there's a lot of y'all who can't tune in live,
Mm-hmm.
but do watch the replay. So also kudos to all of y'all tuning in, regardless of the time or the place.
Yes, we love seeing y'all's comments. We love interacting with y'all no matter what time that happens. And last thing before we get into our week 6 check-in is donate and support y'all. We do this out of love for our community. This is one of our free programs. So if you want to continue to see Sultry Sisters do this free community work, please consider donating at Sultry Sisters on Venmo or PayPal. You can also share the work that we do with someone. There's many ways to show your support, so we'd love to see it.
Yes. Thank you all for tuning in. And of course, this year is our third annual festival. And so join us on June 21st to 23rd for our annual Summer Solstice Festival. It's something that we look forward to every year. It's like a reunion with our community. It's a way for us to help uplift BIPOC and queer wellness and art practitioners in our own city, in our own hometown of North County, San Diego. So there's a lot of amazing things happening in our community this year. So go to our website, sultrysisters.com/SS Festival, and join the interest list to be the first to know when tickets launch, which is soon, y'all. So you're gonna want to not miss out on what's going on, because this only happens once a year, our Summer Solstice Festival. But next month, we also have some exciting things happening. So check out our website, check out join our newsletter on our website, our email list, or the link in our bio to be the first to know how to sign up for
Mhm.
everything that's coming up, y'all.
Yes, yes, yes. So if you are part of our book club, you can go ahead and break out your book. If you're listening to like a podcast, keep doing what you're doing. But week 6 was all about recovering a sense of abundance. And I just want to give you that context as we talk about our check in.
Yeah. So the first question is, how many days of this week did you do your morning pages? Have you used them yet to think about creative luxury for yourself, since that was something we really thought about this week? And how was the experience for you?
Yes, so I got 4 out of the 7. So this is the lowest I've ever done it. So I got 4 out of 7 morning pages done. And what I've done, and I wrote, well, I'm not gonna tell you what I wrote, but what I've done,
Every
I want
time,
to
y'all.
tell y'all so bad.
Every
Um,
time.
so with morning pages, y'all, if you're just learning, is Julia Cameron, the author of The Artist Way, encourages us to write 3 pages of just stream of consciousness first thing in the morning. And so in our check-in, we're sharing how many pages we did out of the 7 days from last week. I've done 4, and how I've used like creative luxury for myself. So one thing that I've done, the days that I have written in the morning, I've gotten out of bed to make my hot tea and then gotten back into bed to write. That has helped me to like feel calm while writing, because since I've been sick, like I'm cranky first thing in the morning. I'm like, I need water. I need something for this raspy throat. So the luxury of having something, a warm beverage that's soothing to drink, and some fuzzy socks has been a luxurious part of the 4 days I did the morning pages. So it was a much better experience. And I think to myself, I'm like, it's okay, Liz. Like, I keep thinking to myself, like, you have to wake up right away and then start writing. Like, instead of like, how about you just do what you need to do and then write? So I've had this new balance of, she doesn't mean literally just wake up and start writing. Like, she means make this like the first activity, the first intentional thing you do in the morning. And that has helped me enjoy the experience a lot more than just like,
Yeah, you do not actually have to be in your bed to do the morning page.
I'm unlearning y'all to like be loose with rules and not create them for
Well,
myself.
also, it's like I think you're creating your own rules.
I'm a tortured soul, y'all.
Oh gosh. So I wrote 6 out of 7 days this week. Um, and yeah, I feel like the pages are becoming easier. I already finished my original notebook that I have for my morning pages. I ordered more of this exact type of notebook because I do like the size and stuff. And usually I take 1 year or maybe 9 months to fill up this kind of journal. So it's like interesting. It's only been 5 weeks of writing because most then I had to put it in my regular journal because I'm waiting for the new one to come. So that was interesting. I did not expect to finish it this fast.
Wow.
So I've been writing a lot, y'all.
Hi, Geneva. Geneva shares 3 out of 7, but through the pages, I'm remembering how much I love and have missed writing for creative expression
Mm,
and connecting to myself, doing it just for me, not to be monetized.
mhm. That part
Ashe.
there. Nice. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, I do like when some days I have been writing in the bed, but I don't prefer that actually. I do prefer when I get up out of my bed and do it in my living space. Because then I feel like I'm starting my day. It just feels nicer. So that's
Hmm.
something I'm realizing too. It's like, oh yeah, I do like the routine of getting up and out. So I was like, oh, I wonder if that like helps with the writing. I mean, I don't think that has changed like how easeful my writing is. I think, yeah, because I was thinking like, "Oh, maybe if I'm in bed, then it's still, like,
Hmm.
just coming out," but it does the same thing when I'm on my
Yeah.
living area.
I do want to offer a question to the group. Like, what has been your environment in which has helped? And like Tony was saying, what environment have you invited luxury in your writing? So, have y'all gotten the new pen? Have y'all gotten a new cushion in your seat? What has it been? I'm curious. I want to know, because now that I started with my tea, I'm like, okay, I know I like tea. I know I got my good pen. What other things are people adding to their morning pages routines? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I do sit on one of my seat cushions that I have, and well, in my living space, I just have, like, a lot of plants and stuff and a lot of natural light, so that's,
Mm,
like, what helps with the ambiance.
I like that. What about artist dates, y'all? Did you do your artist date this week? Have you considered allowing yourself to? And what did you do for your date? How did it feel?
So my artist date was a very, very fun because it was kicking off my birthday weekend. So on Friday, I went to the Jamila Woods concert here in DC at Howard Theater. And I was with myself. So it was my second solo concert. My first solo concert was Janelle Monáe and Fly Anna Boss in the fall. And now is my second concert. And Jamila Woods music is really, it's like neo soul about like self-love, healing, like ancestral remembrance, the elements, stuff like that. So
Mhm.
um, I loved it. It was like the perfect way to bring in my birthday weekend. I really do enjoy going to concerts solo, well, at least music that I like, obviously, because I'm just in my zone. I got all dressed up. I wore a birthday dress that I bought for myself many months ago. And I got my nails done. It was like for my birthday, but I got my nails done. They're like little Pisces dreamy theme. Did my makeup and everything and took myself to the concert. So it was like literally a proper date, like how I would if I was meeting up with anyone. I did with myself. And yeah, bringing in this new era and this new season, I feel like the concert was like a perfect way to gift myself that time and space and be amongst like not only the artists performing and their creativity, but just the people in the audience. And yeah, it was just a vibe. So I really, really enjoyed it. And I've just been yeah proud of myself for doing things like that. That like to some, I guess, could feel like second nature. But for me, like concerts by myself is something that like I guess never really thought to do before, but now I'm really enjoying it. So I'm inviting more of that in this new season.
Yeah, when you shared that you were gonna see Jamila Woods, and after you shared, like, a song with me of hers, I started listening to more of her this weekend too, so that
Mhm.
was really, really nice. For my artist date, I had and on Saturday, I was planning to go to Kaleidoscope, a concert, a Jason Mraz concert that some of my students were performing in, but your girl fell sick. But before that, I went to see Lady Day. It's a one woman, no, it's a one woman, it's a two-person play about Billie Holiday.
Mm.
And it was so beautiful. Like I was wrecked in the best way. I was just like, I feel like I'm watching Billie Holiday on the stage, and it was about like the play was like one night at Emerson's Bar and Grill in Philly, and so it was just like a culmination. So you felt like you were getting like a performance from Billie, but you got all the context. And I've watched the movie before, so it was just so it was such a soul-filling, but also it was like all kinds of emotions. So I was really happy I got to see it. And I got to see it with BJ, one of our Soultry fam members, also performer and presenter with our community. And we joked that, like, oh, normally on February, we do something for Black History Month as
Mhm.
artists. We usually do a collaboration to celebrate Black History Month, but this is the first year that we're just going to see a show together. And so it was nice to be like, whether we're making something together or seeing something together, the special part is now that we have this tradition of doing something together for Black History Month. So that was a special thing. Again, it wasn't a specific artist date because it wasn't by myself, but that was the most artistic thing I did. And I would have gone, but your girl just felt sick. I thought I could do a lot on my day off.
Your
And so
body's
I
like, girl, you need to
my body
rest.
so my artist day ended up being me going home, and I laid in bed and I read the Breathe magazine. I don't know if y'all heard of Breathe the magazine, but it's talking one about like building good habits, and they have like really, really pretty art in there. I like to collage from it as well. So I read that in bed and went to sleep.
Nice. And then Geneva shares, I did my nails and tried a new design and I made a bookmark. Nice. Love that for you. I always love a good nail design. So if
Mhm,
you feel up for it, you can take a picture and tag us on Instagram so you can see what your artist date creation looks like.
mhm.
So yeah, those just joining, we're checking in what we did for our artist date this week. Again, no pressure if you didn't do anything big. Again, artist date is just solo time with yourself to do something that ignites creativity within yourself. So that could be reading, that could be going on a walk. Um, so I guess I sort of had two because that's something she asked to. Have you considered allowing yourself to? So today I
Mhm.
did a long walk at the park near my apartment to do one of the tasks to pick up um, five different flowers or leaves.
Mm.
And that was nice because the weather was nice. It was like 48 degrees, sunny today. So I was like, let me get outside and walk. And I was like nervous. I was like, it's winter here, like, and it just like snowed on Saturday. It didn't stick, but it was cold. So I was like, is there gonna be anything alive? Um, but I did find 5 things that were alive, like, it was, like, one flower was, like, dried up, but another flower was blue and blooming. It was, like, those really tiny ones, and then 2 dead leaves and then 1 green leaf. So, not everything was, like, super spring, summer blooming, but I was like, "Oh, there is still life
It's
happening at this
life.
park." But yeah, so that was really, really nice, and on my walks recently, because I kinda have to go around multiple times to get the distance I want, so every lap I go, I also start incorporating different squats and leg kicks into my routine. So, yeah, so this is the second time I've done that. So, yeah, that was my, I guess, second artist date.
I love that. And yeah, and yeah, I think with these artist dates are starting to like as I deconstruct what an artist date looks like in my life, um, started to have this idea. Like I bought this matcha green tea powder and the whisk and all this stuff. Like, oh, my artist date can be like making that and then reading a book, like giving myself the ceremony of making matcha. So I've started to think more openly to like what that date can be for me, like planning ahead versus like, oh, I couldn't get this one, so I'm going to go with this one. Like I can make that the first choice. I don't have to,
Mhm,
you know, stretch myself when I know that I'm doing already a lot.
mhm,
Mhm.
definitely. And did y'all experience any synchronicity this week? If so, what was it? Oh, now she has an answer, y'all.
Yeah, y'all, I was so excited to be like, I got synchronicity this week. I want to share. I want to share. I'm gonna be the first to go, y'all. Me. Because I've struggled, but I cackled to myself when I realized it was synchronous, and I was like, wow, that's so divine. So last week I went on a walk. Last Thursday, I went on a walk with some friends who just moved and relocated to the North County, San Diego area, which I'm so happy about because I love more friends who live 15 minutes from me. And I brought them to Handled Pottery, which is a local pottery ceramic studio next to my Pilates studio, and I showed it to them, and we decided we want to possibly take a hand building class to make a mug, and we met the owner's like parent, I think. I'm not sure. I think they were related. Anyways, the whole point is like a couple days ago, we got an email in Soultry Sisters inbox from the owner, Micah, that wants to possibly collaborate with us. And I was like, I was literally just there speaking your grace, saying like how amazing like this is that y'all are here and that I want to come and just do like a class workshop. And they're already reaching out to Soultry to do some possible collaboration. So that was synchronous. I was like, wow, that really did just happen, didn't it? So that was really cool. Um, there was something else, but I'll keep that to myself. It's more personal. But yes, I've had
This girl.
some things
But
are
for
meant to
me,
be secrets.
yes, like your morning pages, girl.
Uh,
So this week for me, I experienced a lot of synchronicity. I think it's also because my birth week, so I feel like spirit and my angels and my guides are just here with me as always. Um, but when I was at my concert, I was thinking like, am I gonna see someone I know? So one of my friends was on my mind, and I was thinking about him. And recently, after the media deprivation, I really haven't on my own volition been doing as much media stuff outside of Instagram because that's still a habit I'm curbing. But in general, um, so I was solo at the concert, and even though I wasn't really chatting with anyone, I was like, "Don't go on social media." So I caught up on my text messages. So one of my friends who I was thinking about, I had texted him, and then at the end of the concert, I ended up seeing him. So that was a very synchronous because I was like, we didn't see each other
mm,
inside the venue. It wasn't until we were outside. I was like, oh, so you were here because I was like, I thought about you because I was like, oh, you would like this music, and he was there indeed. And then also while I was just there in the concert, I was thinking how I want more pole friends because I also did a pole class again last week, and then two of his friends that he was with also do pole at the same studio I go to. So that was very synchronous and serendipitous because I was literally like, oh, now that I do pole, I want pole friends. And then pop, some new people came up. So that was really sweet. And through our conversation last week with Pauline, talking about like angel numbers and seeing different little things that can be synchronicity. So this week,
Mhm.
especially, I saw a lot of numbers that are really divine for me. And on my birthday, 219, I saw 219 twice and 1219, which is something I do see my birthday number a lot, but it was really special to see it on my birthday. So, yeah, those
Mm.
were the different synchronicity experiences that I had over the week.
Yes, I love that. Nicolette shares, for my artist day, I got a haircut. I had this sudden urge to cut it in significant amount of length, which I never thought I'd do, and I'm loving it. And I also just got my nails done in a bold color. Ooh, what color is
Oh,
it? I love
yay.
that.
Yes, we love a haircut. We love our nails did. My hair's already growing again. I need a cut again
I know
because I'm
your
just
hair
like,
looks
this
really your
isn't
hair grows
even
so
short
fast.
anymore. Like, look at this. It's already down here. I'm like, what's happening? But I love that, Nicolette. And then Geneva shares, yes, I've started writing my synchronicities down. I was randomly singing a song and then I turned on a podcast and they were singing the same song. Right? We
Yes.
can't make these things up, okay? This
No.
is just divine. This is creator. This is us in our flow. So thank you all for sharing this.
There's another one that that I can share. I've been like trying to think of like a song to choreograph to, and like Geneva's synchronicity. Sometimes like those kind of things, synchronicity will happen where I'm like open to the universe, like I need this song that's I feel like I ordered it from the universe. Like I'm looking for this. I just put it out there, and
Mhm,
literally, I woke up this morning and on Spotify, like the song came. It felt it matched all of the categories, and I remember that we talked about in the morning pages to like sleep on it, and like that
mhm,
was one of the last things I was thinking about because I need to like have it ready for like soon. So I was like, okay, let me like hand it off to the universe to help me problem solve
mhm,
this decision for my creative project. And I literally woke up and it was on there. I was like, cackle. That's so funny. So yeah, sometimes we can just rely on creator to help us. Like I need put it down, go to
mhm.
sleep.
Exactly. That's the power of manifesting, and the more specific you are, the more likely you'll realize it's happening.
I'm like, maybe I should get more specific about other things in my life because I literally ordered
Definitely.
that song and I got it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's how that works. And then last question for our check-in, were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? And again, if you're popping in and maybe you're not following us specifically on week 6, like if you're on a different week than us, you can still check in and share kind of like how the week that you're in is going as well.
I wouldn't say issues, but losing my voice and not being able to speak for 2 days, 2.5 days. I was my listening, right? My listening widened. I normally like there's a lot of things that came up in my life where I wanted to like rush and call my sister because I'm very codependent in that way. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing happened. Let me tell her. But I really had to sit with a couple things. And I was like, interesting what it's like to really just allow yourself to sit with your thing and not like a bad thing, but even good stuff, like even good news, but like to sit with my own things, like, and we're talking about this in this week of abundance, to have something for myself just for like 24 hours that I don't tell anybody, and it's something exciting and it's like, oh, it's my thing. I never thought like how much I don't keep to myself for myself when I talk, because I'm like, even if I'm not on media, like I'm just like this a lot. So to have to slow down and not talk really got rid of a lot of chatter in my mind. And I was with myself. No media and no none of this. So it was pretty opening. So opening.
Nice. I love that for you because yeah, I'm a person who is very private and very like not sharey often. Even with my closest people, yeah, there's a lot of things that I
Mhm.
keep sacred and private, and I just
Right?
share whenever the time comes or if it makes sense. So, welcome. It is very
That's good.
cozy on that side. Yes. Um, yeah, I think this week I wouldn't necessarily say it as an issue either, but things that brought to my attention was this past week being my birth week. There was just like a lot of activities and happenings and things that I was doing, which this year, 2024, I have had an intention to just carve out more space to just be and to rest. And this week, weekend specifically, had a lot of stuff that was around people going to this place, to this appointment, to this other thing. And yeah, just a lot of being in shared space, either directly with people I wanted to be with, or I'm in transit somewhere, or I'm at a concert. And so it's just a lot of other people's energy, which I tend to not have that a lot, especially after the pandemic. I spend a lot of time just with myself. So I realized that I was like, oh yeah, I think this is a reminder of like, oh, why I cultivate a lot of space for myself. Because when I'm around a lot of people, like day after day after day, it's just exhausting. So yesterday, I just spent a lot of the day in bed because I just needed to recover my energy and my space and yeah, my peace of mind. So that was just a reminder of like, this is why we don't do this often. Yeah.
Hmm. Definitely. It's like social battery. You got to refill it with space for and time for self. Hmm. So let us know if you have any other check-ins. Feel free to share how your week went. But we'll start to go into the chapter recovering a sense of abundance.
Yes. So this week, again, I feel like all the weeks, I don't know if she's tailoring it to our personal lives, but I always feel each week, I'm like, this is very on point to what's happening in my life. Especially because it was my birth weeks. I felt very abundant with receiving gifts and love and community and all that good energy. And then also within myself, just feeling lighter and feeling more open and just open to the abundance that's coming into my life, especially in this new season. So, yeah, every week I'm like, this chapter can't be more timely. So again,
Hmm.
abundance was is
Yes.
very nice.
I'm gonna read this part on the gray side, which it's what Julia says we're going to be, tackling. She goes, this week, week 6, recovering a sense of abundance, you tackle a major creative block, money. You are asked to really look at your own ideas around God, money, and creative abundance. The essays will explore the ways in which your attitudes limit abundance and luxury in your current life. You will be introduced to counting, a blockbusting tool for clarity and right to use funds. This week may be volatile. Let us know in the chat, y'all. How was this week for you, week 6, dealing with money, our ideas around source, and luxury?
Yeah, that was interesting. Like how, again, with all her reflection questions every week and her exercises, it always like pleasantly surprises me, like how deep it can go, right? Like when she's asking these different questions of like, how do we get these, preconceptions and thoughts and all this stuff. So I was intrigued by the chapter. Because yeah, I feel like she does talk about abundance as in money, but she also talks about it as, creative energy and like having flow too. Because I'm more so used to in my, I guess, journey of like abundance is not only about money. So I was kind of like at first like, oh, why is she only talking about money? Because I don't think
Yeah.
I personally don't believe abundance is just money. Abundance is like energy, abundance of love, abundance of whatever Mama Earth creates can be abundant. So that was at first my initial thought was like, oh, this is interesting to start off with like talking about currency and how we know society as like paying for things. So yeah, that was my
Yeah. I
first
was
initial thought.
definitely my first thought was like, "What do you mean?" And then also like, okay, I knew she was gonna talk about money because she says it, but then she starts with first talking about the great creator. And like this first opening section is talking about like our idea of creator and source and like how that can, and I guess it's setting us up to talk about money. So I was like, wait, you talking about you're saying we're gonna, for me, I I didn't think that she would have us like think about like what was your first introduction to source, to God, to the higher power, like what was your first definition and what would be your definition now. I thought that was an interesting thing because in the beginning of the book it was just like, oh, God as the creator, like this general like energy universe. But this one she was like, actually, so when you learned about this like God, like what was it, and this may also be a reason why you're blocked. This toxic definition. I was like, what do you mean by that toxic definition? So I thought that was an interesting edge that she was bringing to the conversation.
Hmm. Yeah, so on the first page of this chapter, 105, she talks about, just to give people context, if they're like, what are y'all talking about? She shares, for many of us raised to believe that money is the real source of security, a dependence on God feels foolhardy, suicidal, even laughable. When we consider the lilies of the fields, we think they are quaint, too out of it for the modern world. We're the ones who keep clothes on our backs. We're the ones who buy the groceries, and we will pursue our art, we tell ourselves, when we have enough money to do it easily. And when will that be? We want a God that feels like a fat paycheck and a license to spend as we please. Listening to the siren song of more, we are deaf to the still small voice waiting in our soul to whisper, "You're enough." Right? So, what she starts off in this section or this chapter is like how often our perceptions of God also is our perceptions with like how we can make a living, how we can make money, and like how they're interconnected.
Exactly. And Geneva shares, I love the perspective that she gave about how we often limit what we can have before God does. Yeah, we often
Mm-hmm.
intercept our blessings. Like we often tell ourselves we can't before anyone else does. That's what I got from that. I was like, wow. Oh my goodness. It's true.
And I think a lot of times too, in those self-doubt thoughts is like, I think it comes from like, oh, well, God didn't give me this like specific big sign that I need to do this creative thing or whatever thing you want in your life. So that means I can't do it. Versus, I think what she's really telling us in the book is like, creator is never telling us no. And a lot of these things, right? We are telling ourselves, we perceive that we didn't get a sign, we didn't see any synchronicity as a no when she's sharing that, like, a lot of this is actually our subconscious, the sensor telling us
Mhm.
that it's not actually our creator or our own creative flow. So I thought that's interesting too in
Mhm.
this chapter where she's really getting at the like, we are our own limiting factor, and often we blame it on not having this or that. And that goes into the quote I wanted to share. So on page 106, most of us harbor a secret belief that work has to be work and not play, and that anything we really want to do, like write, act, dance, must be considered frivolous and be placed distant second. Right? So frivolous can also mean like in the reflection questions when she talks about silly, those kind of
Mhm.
things is like we think, oh, that's so silly of us to want to be a blah blah blah. And she's like, no, like if you want to do that, you can make space to do that. But a lot of us, will block our own blessings because we feel like that's not the right thing to do, which again we talked about previous week, the virtue trap, right? Like I want to do the good thing, and she's like, the good is whatever your soul desires to do. That's the good thing.
Yeah, I caught myself telling someone because most of my hours has been choreographing, and I was like, I feel like I'm not really working. I am working. Like, like I said that because, it's just like it comes so easy to me, you know. And she talked about in the book too, like just because it comes easy doesn't mean it's not your blessing, doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing it. And I think I've conned myself into saying like, no, your life needs to be harder, you can't just be one thing. I'm like, well, you can't just create, you have to also serve. And this whole serve thing comes from a censor of like, aren't you serving with your art? Yes. So then why are you creating this extra barrier for yourself? um and so that I'm loving that we're sharing this quote, because a lot of us can block ourselves from doing the thing we love, and that even that's our gift and talent, because it comes out of us so naturally. So, and then the next quote I want to share is not from Julia Cameron. It's actually one of the fun quotes on the side. I really love that she has these too. It's always leave enough time in your life to do something that makes you happy, satisfied, even joyous. That has more of an effect on economic well being than any other single factor. Paul Hawken. I was like, come on, Paul.
Mhm.
Thank you. I love that. That he was like, you know what? At the end of the day, you need to do something that's joyous, that's going to help you have a better effect on your economic well being than any other single factor. And I feel like that's true. Like, when you're, depleted, we talked about later on with the luxury. We'll talk about that in the next section. And I feel like these artist dates have been a source of joy, that even though I've been working a lot, that they have given me like the creative energy to keep producing. Like I'm producing a lot like of choreography right now, which I feel depleted. Like what more ideas? And then I listen to music, and then I rest, and I do all these other things, and I just sleep, and I'm like, "Oh, it comes to me through like baking." Like I've been baking a whole bunch, y'all. And in my baking process, I've had things come up. And I'm like, that's what they're talking about, that brain activity of like mixing, 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 chopping, chopping. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because I think it's another affirmation to create more space for joy and relaxation. They said satisfied. When I think satisfied, I'm thinking like nourishing myself. I also think about like now I have a whole end of shower routine where I'm like, you ran out of your journal in just 5 weeks. In
Mhm.
5 weeks, my lotion's out. Like I have this big tub of lotion and it's gone. And I don't
Y'all,
know about
that's
y'all.
amazing for her because she don't be moisturizing, so that is
Uh,
magical.
yes,
Thank you. I'm happy for
yes,
you.
yes. And so these simple moments that are like, how are we satiating ourselves and giving ourselves that joy? It really has helped me. And also centering these things has also like cooking my own food and all that has actually helped me save money. Like throughout this entire artist way, I like was looking at my books because this chapter is about like, anyways, we'll get into that later. I've saved a lot of money, y'all, centering joy, which I didn't realize was possible, but it is. I digress.
That's good. And then again, when she says, or this quote is saying to make space for it, again, it's unlearning that space doesn't mean you need to have a whole day to bake or you need a whole, way to go to the spa or whatever. Like it's creating those small nuggets of time of just for yourself, just to do something that feels good, that sparks joy, that makes you feel in your creative flow. So I think that's also, again, what this chapter is about with abundance is that you don't have to have like an infinite amount of time to feel abundant, right? You can do these things, which we'll talk about when we get to the tasks that are often small and we often overlook, but can actually really help us call in and welcome in that grand abundance that we are all wanting.
Geneva shares, as a dancer choreographer, I can also agree choreographing is creative, mind bending work, plus the physical aspect of practicing the routine. That's work, just more enjoyable. Yes, I don't often give myself the credit, like, because I've been working all day, I've been at a dance rehearsal. I won't. I won't equate it to like, oh, I need to sit down, or maybe my artist date needs to be taking a bath. Like, so thank you for affirming, fellow dancer choreographer, that like it is work, and it's work on our feet. It's very taxing on the body. So we need to be able to replenish ourselves. And then Kyle shares, I forgot that baking was a task for this week. I'm making cookies tonight. All right.
Nice. And the next quote I wanted to share is, what we really want to do is what we are really meant to do. When we do what we are meant to do, money comes to us, doors open for us, we feel useful, and the work we do feels like play to us. So, exactly what you were saying. When you're in that zone, your creative flow, when you're tapping into the creator within, then all of this will come naturally. So, again, these blockages that we have as like shadow artists, as blocked artists, that she's sharing with us these different ways to unlearn that, to call in this abundance. And I think, again, as we're in week 6 or finishing it now, that again, right, like through each week, we're unlearning, we're relearning. And this week is like, okay, we're at that beautiful point of like, okay, we're in it now, right? You got past the 4 weeks
Mhm.
when people most likely would probably turn away and be like, this might be too much for me. I don't know if I can sustain this. So now we're in the point of like, okay, now you have this routine, right? We're 6 weeks into doing our morning pages, doing our artist date, thinking about creativity and our spirituality in a different way. Like, we are literally cultivating new habits, a new lifestyle, new thought processes. Like she says, we're altering our consciousness. Like, if y'all feel, right, she said this week can be volatile, right? So you can feel a lot of feelings, you can feel big feelings. You can also be like, oh, I don't know if this is really working for me. But I invite you all to really reflect and to just think about like the different ways that you are showing up now as we're ending week 6 than you did before we started the book, right? Like, to just celebrate those small wins, whether it's that you
Mhm.
got a new notebook, you started cooking, you go on a walk now, whatever it is, like, we really are like in this
Yeah.
process of
Mhm.
change and bringing in that abundance. So yeah, I just wanted to remind you all that we're all doing the work, no matter how big or small.
Yes, and I off of what Tony just beautifully articulated, I wanna ask y'all, like, do you feel like you're honoring yourself more these days? You can say yes or no and how, but, I personally feel like I'm honoring myself more these days.
Yeah, I feel like for me, we kind of talked about this before, but it's similar to when I did my yoga teacher training, where like towards the middle end, you get really protective of your energy. You're really like wanting to honor your sacredness of yourself and your energy. So I feel that lately, like I haven't felt as much to like share openly and publicly. I mean, we share things for Soultry, and then for my birthday, I shared a little bit, but like I'm really like in this process, in this journey, in this space. So I have noticed a lot of things in my personal life, like my day to day routine, how I'm showing up for myself, what things I'm called to, what's been coming up for me. But yeah, I think a lot of that for me is helping because my energy has really been focused like on myself, on what I'm doing, the people I'm
Mhm.
in real life contact with. So like
Yeah.
cultivating those spaces to have these like meaningful connections in a way that feels good for me. So yeah, I have been feeling the shift definitely. And I feel like the days that I do write, I do feel lighter in a way than the days that I'm
Mhm.
not able to. So I
Mm.
do feel like that has definitely been helping. And of course, being off social media helps too. But in
Yes.
general, like with the media deprivation week, I felt like the difference was more so if I had wrote and like tapped into self first before the day started versus not.
Mhm. Definitely, that's a big difference. Kyle shares, "Yes, I do feel like I'm taking more time and care for myself." Yes. Geneva
Yeah.
shares, "Me too. More intentional creative time has been beneficial, plus just creating more mental space for creativity and creative replenishment." Ooh, creative replenishment.
Oh, yes, creative
Mhm.
replenishment. That's true, like,
You're
after my walk today, then I just had music on and I was just dancing in my room. So, yes, I do feel like that also that abundance of just creative energy, through doing this book, definitely.
Mhm. And then Kyle shares, "I'm not gonna lie, I'm still struggling with the idea that money will come when you're pursuing your passions and your personal mission, working on expanding my concept of possibility." Mm, I think to me too, like, money will come. with following our we're pursuing our passions. And I think what I'm getting from this book is like it's not an all or nothing, black or white. Like, how can we create space to continue to like start to slowly etch? Like, I think that one example of the drummer, the one who ended up drumming,
Mhm.
was very hard on themselves. Kind of makes me think like might be a nugget for you, Kyle, in that testimony of like someone who was very hard on themselves about following that passion, but just invited play and then ended up pursuing drumming and everything like that. So I think the fact that we're like you're naming, we're all naming like our barriers and then collectively creating space to find a way. So that's a real
Yeah.
feeling though. Like
Mhm.
the whole money will
Yeah.
come. Because I've heard
And
that like
again
many times.
and again, the writer of this book, right, is a white woman, and she originally wrote this, what, back in the 80s? So, obviously, there's been some amendments and some additions, but again, with the context in this current state that we're in society, so, yeah, sometimes that's why I understand sometimes when people think some of these, like, abundance and manifesting things are just not practical. Because yeah, sometimes the people who are writing these things don't always have the social, um, context, but what that made me think of is, like, with this book, a lot of what we're learning and tapping into is that if you put something out there, then that will come back, right? Like that reciprocity, that mutuality that we have with creator, with God, with universe. So I think the phrase money will come to me thinks like, okay, if I'm a creative, if I'm an artist, like I'm not waiting to get a big grant, I'm not waiting to have an investor to do my creativity, like whatever craft I have, I'm going to do it. And then through universe knowing that I'm putting this energy out there, then someone will come and be like, "Hey, I want you to do blah 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 at my party. Or I want this thing." And I feel like Soultry Sisters is really a testimony of that kind of abundance of like we started just because we
Mhm.
wanted to. We with our own money, we still
Yeah.
bootstrap and do our own money, but through doing it ourselves without waiting for permission or a big venture capital thing, then we, have had that abundance come. So
And,
I'm just
and
sharing our story to have like a different
yeah.
perspective of how kind of it
And,
shows up in our
y-
life, where it's not like there's a savior that someone is like, now my student loans are paid. Unfortunately, I mean, universe, feel free to do that.
yeah.
But it's
No.
more so in those small things, like when you are doing a thing, then something will come to you, kind of like synchronicity as well.
Yeah. And I think also too, like for me, what Kyle's bringing up for me is like I almost um acknowledge like kind of also from bell hooks, like bell hooks had other jobs while they were also a writer. So it's like the artist's way for me is thinking creatively of like, okay, there's, making money. We live in a capitalist society. Money has to be made. But while I have to make money, what are the other things? Like even Trisha Hershey had a live recently that's like, I like the thing that what I do with Nat Ministry is for the community. So I collaborate with people who understand that, who get it. And she has tenfold come. So she started it with like free rest
Hmm.
installations. Like we're gonna be at this park. We're gonna take a nap. We're gonna wake up, journal, talk about it. That's it. You bring your own. You bring your own this. Bring your own mat, blanket, and so that was a place of abundance. She didn't have a lot of money, but what she had was an idea, and she went to places that were abundant. The park was free, so it's like um, so when I think about that, I think too, like, because it's written by a white woman versus like, other people, I feel like the idea that your talent will one day be matched by money, that's not the goal for me. Like sometimes people, their mission is to create a thing and share it with the world. And that's it. Like you just want to, like musicians, like I make music, I just want to share it with the world. Like a lot of musicians make work and they don't see a lot of money from it, so that music is one of those very radical things that when people share their voice, they share their thing. So I don't know, I feel like for me, like this is a very helpful chapter with like money and abundance, but there's also another fold of like how do we create from a space that's not informed by money but not constricted either.
Mhm. Definitely, and I think with our current society, which I doubt it was like this when she originally wrote the book, but now it's all viral and trendy to like make your side hustle, your full-time thing. And I was just listening to a podcast today with My Lake Teal, but they were kind of mentioning that too, of like how that's really not sustainable actually. Like we should also just have fun things for ourselves and hobbies, and what our creative flow is shouldn't have to be tied to money, right? Like we have the choice to make money off of it, of course, but that shouldn't be, we shouldn't have to profit off of our, passion to live. And so I think that is why a lot of us become blocked artists and different stuff, because it's like we're trying to find a balance between like capitalism and creativity, when capitalism was not designed to have our creativity or our well-being or any of
And
us here,
and
honestly.
honestly, capitalism has curved our behavior and how we relate to our passion, right? AKA like the entrepreneur, the viral. We can continue talking in circles about this, but I would love to talk about that specifically more.
And then Kyle shares, right. I'm starting to understand it as when you're doing what you're meant to be doing, you will have enough, not pursuing more and more for the sake of success, but you'll have what you need. Yes, I think that's kind of where she's going with this chapter. Um, and also like the abundance of like when you're in your creative flow, then like what we've been talking about, like all those synchronicities and those aligned connections and those aligned
Mhm.
opportunities will come. And like to not wait, because I think she's trying to address like the shadow kind of artist who's like waiting for a certain thing, like on the one of the first pages when it's like, oh, like if God gave me all this money, then I'll become XYZ thing. I think she was kind of trying to address those thoughts and people who have
Mhm.
those beliefs. So it also was like kind of a specific context, I think, when she was sharing some of those statements.
Mhm. Shall we move on to luxury, y'all?
Yes.
I love
G
this part.
M A M O O
AMROUS.
S.
Glamorous. So I love how she tied luxury to flow, y'all. And these following quotes will kind of give you context. So, um, yeah, Tony, take it away.
Yes, I love that you mentioned luxury because I love that for myself and for everyone else, of course. And so the quote I'll share to just give everyone, a little bit of insight to what we're sharing. So, a little authentic luxury can go a long way because art is born in expansion, in a belief in sufficient supply. It is critical that we pamper ourselves for the sense of abundance it brings to us. Right. So she's sharing how this authentic luxury, which means like doing what feels good for each of us individually, like that is helping us cultivate this abundant energy that she's talking about. Um, and I really lean into that because, again, this week being my birth week, I was like, oh, yeah, I've definitely done that. Right. Like, I went to a concert with myself. I got dressed up, and that was really luxurious for me. So I was wearing like a long dress, like this cutout, and like had my makeup and got my nails done. So my nails are like a luxury for me because I don't do them all the time.
Mhm.
And so like little stuff that like just help bring out my light or help me feel more like energized. And then for my birthday party, I wore a robe with like this fur on the end. So I did an outfit change. And the second outfit was like this dress and a robe with fur on the end. And I just was like, yeah, this is luxurious. And then before the live, another thing that I did was like, I was eating chips, but instead of just eating them out the bag, I put them in a little dish that I have, so like
Mhm.
I like just
Yes.
leaning into luxuries in the most simplest of ways as well.
Mhm.
Like it could either be a texture thing, a textile, it could be a drink, it could be just going outside and letting the sun rays like hit your skin. That could be a luxurious moment for you.
Exactly. Like, I think she was trying to drive in that luxury does not mean like monetary, which goes into this next quote that all
Mhm.
too often we become blocked and blame it on our lack of money. This is never an authentic block. The actual block is our feeling of constriction and our sense of powerlessness. This is how I
Mhm.
feel about the folks who feel a type of way about soft life. Like, if someone wants to advocate that they are having a soft life, to each his own. Like, I don't feel triggered by that at all. People who are like luxury girly, I love these things. I'm like, to each his own. You feeling good about that? You feel good about that. And I think this quote kind of points it out. Like, are you really mad at that person who's enjoying their life and sharing and saying, hey,
Mhm.
this is a reminder to stop, drop, and enjoy your life? They're like, all this stuff. And I was like, you feeling constricted and a sense of powerlessness that you've created in your mind. Like, for me, like, whenever I see those things, I'm like, oh, have I treated myself? And whatever that treat is how I define and choose.
Mhm. Definitely, and I experienced that kind of resistance and pushback when I was reading Rest is Resistance. And Trisha talks about, rest, like do it now, all of us, especially Black folks, like, and at any cost, right? Like, and Trisha also, has a family, was in grad school, like all this stuff, and she still like was like, no, rest. And while we were doing the book club last year, then I was around people who are mothers or who have businesses or do these different things, and they were just like, I can't rest. I have too many hats. Like, we have to hustle because we're Black and that's what we do. Blah, blah. And I was just like, that is not my ministry. Okay, I'm a part of that ministry now, and that is not what I signed up for. But that's the block, right? Like they're like, I can't. Like they never maybe saw people in their life rest, right? Like so many of us who are Black and brown, like especially immigrant families, like there's sometimes if you don't see it in front of you as an example, you don't know that that's something you can have for yourself. So like I think that's what that block and blame comes from with like with the, soft life and rest. I feel like a lot of people are really also polarized when we say rest, and I'm like, that your body literally will rest for you. You will fall asleep because you need to rest. Like you're saying, you're working nonstop and your body got sick to remind you to rest. And it's like naturally we need these things, but we deny
Mhm.
ourselves because of society the natural thing. And I think that's what this book is talking about is like everything we think is truth, we've actually like created that for ourselves, and we can unlearn and create abundance, we can create luxury, we can create rest that is sustainable for ourselves, and that is accessible for us, especially as Black folks, as Indigenous folks, as BIPOC. Like even though Julia Cameron is white, like I do think like her book is really helpful. And I hope that folks that even if this isn't something that comes naturally to you, right? Like if this week maybe was volatile because it was
Mhm.
triggering in a lot of ways, like I hope that you take time to breathe, pause, and to just, explore why maybe this is bringing up a lot of big emotions and not push this, journey and this experience to the side because maybe it's a lot, but to kind of, slowly, nugget by nugget, see how you can invite some of these things into your life. Because I know it can be a lot if this is really not what you worked through before.
Mhm.
Like we have kind of, been reading some of these different self-development books who they all kind of say similar types of things. So this isn't our first time kind of opening up ourselves to this kind of language or these kind of activities. But for someone who it might be, I just wanted to encourage you all that like it's okay to be like, this was a little much for me. I don't
Mhm.
really know what this is. Like I couldn't do it. Like that's okay too.
Yes, we're definitely here to hold space for everyone to share their authentic experience. And this book is an offering to center um, like our common goal, which is creative care. And speaking of creative care, we come to this next quote. Art requires us to empower ourselves with choice at the most basic level. This means choosing to do self care.
Yes. Which is
Hmm.
what we promote here at Soultry Sisters and in our community, right? And so I appreciate that. It's like empowering ourselves with choice. And we always talk about, empowering ourselves and choosing. I just like the choice, right? The agency, the autonomy that like art is all around us. And when we have the power to choose to, bring it into our life or cultivate it in the way that we want.
Definitely. Geneva shares. All of this is so aligned
Mhm.
with Pisces season 2. Letting yourself have the dream of abundance. Yes.
Yes, yes, my nails, I'm gonna keep talking about my nails, y'all, but my nails, the theme is like Pisces dream space. So it's dreamy with sparkles, pink, and glitter, stars. So yes, I think again, like I didn't really I think I read the chapter before I got my nails done. So I didn't really know like what the abundance she was talking about. But yes, Pisces season is very about dreaming, your own reality because Pisces we like to be in our own reality. This
Mhm.
world here is ghetto. We like
Yes.
to dream of other places, but also with talking about abundance and the like empowering ourselves, I also it made me think of how I like to travel a lot, and I a lot of times when I travel and post or when I come back, then people have comments of like, "Oh, I wish I could do that," or "Oh, when I retire, I'm gonna do that," or "Oh, once I get XYZ thing, then I want to do that," or "Oh, I can't do that right now. I could never do that as a mom, or I could never do that while in grad school." And it's just like, again, these limits that we impose on ourselves. Um, and that's something that always sticks with me is just like, we have one life to live. Like, I want more people to whatever they desire and want and are inspired by to find a way to do that in their life. And so, yeah, I think with the empowering ourselves is kind of unlearning that helplessness that some folks feel when you feel
Mhm.
blocked that you can't do a thing or it's not accessible to you. To sometimes remind ourselves that, like, oh, maybe we can't do a certain thing, but maybe we could do another thing that gives us that same kind of joy, that same kind of feeling of satisfaction.
Yes, and that's why she has us making all these lists, y'all, because choose
Mhm,
one. If you can't have one, you might be able to have another. And that
mhm,
brings us to this next quote is what gives us true joy? That is the question to ask concerning luxury. And for each of us to answer is, and for each of us, the answer is very different. So that goes into that, right? Like, what brings you joy at its simplest essence, right? Follow that and let it expand as you create more capacity, more abundance, And that goes into the next quote, which is, we need to be available to the universal flow. We put a stopper on our capacity for joy by anorectically declining the small gifts of life. We turn aside the larger gifts as well. I was like, wait a
mhm,
minute, what? So she's
mhm,
like, if you block the little ones, you're most likely blocking the big one too.
mhm. She's like, the apple don't fall far from the tree, okay? She's
Like
like,
when
if it
someone
walks
like,
like a duck, talks like a duck.
yeah, that's why one of our tasks, like if there's free breeze, take it. Go to Costco, get the free sample. If there's free samples anywhere, just take it because we need to recondition ourselves to accept free gifts, blessings, even the smallest thing. Even someone saying, open the door, oh, you go first. Go first. I'll be like, oh no, you no, go
Exactly.
first. I did that the other day.
Exactly.
Someone's like, go ahead. I was like, yes, I will. Thank you.
Exactly. Or someone has like an extra something and like, oh, I have an extra book. I'm not reading it. You can have it. And people be like, oh no, I can't. And it's just like, why can't you though? Right. So
Exactly.
yes, I am queen of calling in the abundance and accepting it. Like, okay, thank you. Definitely. And then towards the end of this chapter, she talks about creative living, which I really loved. I was like, oh, I'm so happy she talked about this and made space for this because this is something I really do embrace in my journey. And so she shares on page 112 that creative living requires the luxury of time, which we carve out for ourselves. Even if it's 15 minutes for a quick morning pages or a 10-minute mini bath after work, right? So, again, like these morning pages, these artist days don't have to be lavish, they don't have to be big, they don't have to be a whole production. She's saying the luxury of time, right? So, that could just be 5 minutes here. It could even be fragmented, right? You might do 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Um, but that luxury is that time, right? To just be. And then also, creative living requires the luxury of space, which we've been talking about for ourselves. Even if all we manage to carve out is one special bookshelf and a windowsill that is ours. And I
Mm.
appreciate these examples she shared too, because I envision folks who either live in like a household with like other people, or you have kids, or maybe your living situation is kind of more mobile and like you're not always having a whole place to yourself. I appreciate that. She said, even just a little bookshelf, even just a mug. She even talked about having like a nice mug and like, this is what I
Mhm.
have. This is my cute little mug. Um, that, yeah, I usually use this and people use these other mugs that I have because this is like my cute
That's
little
your
mug.
mug.
And so I appreciate that because she was talking about at the end of the chapter that like our blocked artists, our inner artists are like little kids, right? And you want your own thing, like when you're little, right? Like Alyssa had a thing and I wanted my own thing, but as a younger sister, I didn't always get my own. But that's always, like that childlike joy is like, ooh, I have this to myself. So whatever it is, like, we invite you all to reflect and find those little luxurious space
Mhm.
and time for yourself for the rest of this journey. And we look forward to hearing more about what you all share as we continue.
Yes, let us know if there are any quotes that stuck out for you from today's reading. Now we're segue into week 6 tasks. So, what tasks did y'all complete this week, and how has it informed your creative recovery? Let us know in the chat. There were some good ones, y'all. Um,
Yeah. So earlier I talked about how I did number 2 earlier today.
mhm.
So I picked 5 flowers or leaves when I went on my walk. And that was nice because I wanted to walk because of the weather. And then I was doubting Mama Earth, crazy of me, my bad, Mama Earth. But I was like, it's winter time. It just was snowing. Like, am I going to find anything that's like, I guess, worthy of sharing for the artist away task? But I did. And that was really, it helped me be present and grounded to know that Mama Earth still provides. And I talked about this in my yoga class other weeks. I'm like, duh, Tony, but talked about during winter season, we all think of it as dormant and that nothing's happening, but there's still action in stillness. And so today, picking up the flowers and leaves reminded me of that. And I just noticed different parts of the park that I don't typically notice. So that was really sweet.
I
And
did
yeah.
number one.
Hmm.
I did number one task, which was about finding 5 pretty interesting rocks. I interpreted that as crystals. And so these are 5 rock crystals that um I'm just like I've decided to work with in relation to the artist way. So this is like a curation and reflection. I won't go into details because I know we are on time. But yeah, it was fun to create a crystal like collection in reflection of the artist way. And I'm looking forward to sharing how I'm able to manifest some of these this creative capacity in my life. What
And
are
I
some other
haven't done it this week, but I did star number 5, sending postcards to 5 friends because I do actually
Mhm.
like sending postcards to friends. And so I was reminded that, like, oh, yeah, that is a practice that I enjoy doing. So I do want to do that.
Yeah. Today, I got the addresses of all the 5 friends because I realized I don't have anybody's address really
Mm,
because I don't be sending stuff. So I was like, wow, I don't have a lot of people's addresses. And on a couple of them are like, oh, I've moved. Good thing you asked. I was like, I'm so sorry I don't know your address. They're like, actually, it's good that you asked because they be moving around and they don't live in the area. So it was nice to actually hear from them. I actually got emotional. I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to this person and now I'm going to send them something. And I
mhm,
felt this kind of connection, like a reconnection that happened from that task. So, I
mhm,
mean, only time will tell how that feels when I actually send it.
mhm. Nice.
And I did bake. I've been baking every week. I baked pumpkin bread again. So pumpkin bread has been my most favorite. Usually I do 2 loaves, one for me and one for the other people in this house because I really want the pumpkin bread to myself. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's something I can put a boundaries. Like, this is my pumpkin bread. Y'all can have this other bread. Cause it's not a good feeling when you wake up in the morning, you're like, I'm about to have my tea and where's my bread at?
The bread is gone. You're like, I'm not feeling abundant with my bread. Okay.
And that's the thing. Number 8, clearing. That's a new change I would like to in my home environment. Like
So funny. And then with the task, I appreciate that she labeled some as like the natural abundance. Because
mhm.
again, when I think of abundance, typically I do think of like Mama Nature, Mama Gaia, like Earth, Creator. And
Mhm.
so I appreciate that she had things that were, reminding us of Mama Nature's abundance. So I appreciate that as like, yeah, like you don't have to buy anything or do anything. You could just go outside and forage and collect things, and they can
Yeah.
remind you of abundance.
And, like, she also had the categories of clearing,
Mhm.
communication, favorites, accepting, prosperity. So I really yeah, Tony, you're right. Like, she's now labeling them too as, like, these are
Mhm.
the different ways in which these tasks are going to function. Like, the favorites was a fun one too. I did one of those
Mhm.
I did that during one of my morning pages days.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that because it was like different things that I don't always think about what my favorite things are. It was like desserts, veggies, trees. I was like, "Oh, I like these things," but, like, I wouldn't think to, like, list them.
Specific, yeah.
Yeah, so that was really cool. Yeah, I like that practice as well, and then Geneva is sharing, "I made some changes in my home environment naturally, felt like I did some early spring cleaning." Yay, love that.
Yes.
Yeah, I have been feeling, like, more inclined to nest in my home. So I want to like hang up more of my artwork and stuff like that. I didn't get a chance to do it before our check-in, but I did write down that like I want to redo my altar and put up my self-portrait wall, which is like an altar ode to myself. So those are things that I will do. But yeah, and then I found the money madness exercise to be very interesting. Again, it's like one
Yes.
of those fill in the blank exercises that each week when we do these, I'm always kind of like intrigued by like what comes out onto the page.
Yes.
So some of the phrases for this included one, people with money are, and you'd fill in the blank. Two, money makes people. Three, I'd have more money if. Four, my dad thought money was. Five, my mom always thought money would. In my family, money cause. Money equals. If I had money, I'd. If I could afford it, I'd. If I had some money, I'd. I'm afraid that if I had money, I would, which that one was a kind of interesting one for me to fill out. Money is, money causes, having money is not. In order to have more money, I'd need to. When I have money, I think money blank. If I weren't so cheap, I'd. People think money blank. Being broke tells me blank. So again, there's 20 questions of an assortment of like your background, current you, little you, your family dynamic, your wants, your desires. So again, these exercises, these practices,
Mhm.
these activities she has us do really dives in deep. So again, that's why she's saying this week might be volatile because you might be like, wait, I have this belief in money because of blah blah blah. It might trigger you. It might bring up
Mhm.
emotions or memories or things that like you haven't really dealt with or realized were maybe barriers or causing challenges in your life. So it was very interesting to complete.
Yeah. Speaking of money
Yeah,
madness, I also did the list of, like, your spending for the week. So
yeah, the counting.
I counting, and I only did 1, 2, 8 transactions this week, and it includes getting 2 gifts for folks, and 2 was getting myself something when I like, to eat or drink while I was out the house, and the rest were groceries and gas. 2 times I went for gas, 2 times I went to groceries, and I was like, "Well, that's interesting." She's like and she said, like, "That will tell you sometimes your money doesn't align with your values or, you'll be able to see." And I'm like, "Actually, I've been really working on my relationship with money, so I feel like
Hmm.
this is telling me where I'm at right now. Well, where I was at before might be a different story." So it was a for me, it was an affirmation, and y'all was telling Tony before the live that, like, I was very cognizant of my spending in this last week. So cognizant that I actually went to our public library to print colored flyers for my workshops coming up because I was like, I value public resource. And I really want to not spend my money frivolously on something that I know I could get somewhere that's abundant, AKA the library is an abundant place, y'all. Do not
Mhm.
sleep on your public library. I can get 50 pages printed a month and colored. Carlsbad Dove Library. Ask me about it.
And a lot of libraries, you can get passes to like museums and art
Yes.
institutions. So yeah, there's a lot that you can do at your local library. So shameless plug for all of your local libraries. Get a library card. There's a lot of resources
Explore the
online,
abundance.
on virtually that you can access as well, even if you can't physically go into your library. Um, but yeah, I didn't finish that exercise because there was a lot going on for me this week. But
Yeah.
um, I do feel like in general, when you look at what you're spending on, it does help you, of course, be more intentional and see it up close and personal what
Yes.
you're giving your money to.
Yeah.
Um,
Full disclosure,
and
I'm doing a low buy year. That's why it's so sparse. I'm intentionally trying to like buy less, y'all.
Oh yeah, number 8 for money madness, I put, "If I had money, I'd travel more and do more wellness retreats." And I talk about this all the time because yeah, like,
Mhm.
that's literally what I would do with my life if I didn't have to do the things that I'm currently doing. Um, and number 7 was interesting, like, my response. I put 7, money equals, and what I inputted was success, because I feel like with
Mm,
society, that's what is glorified, right? Like, the more money you have, the more successful you are. So, like, when people put, like, they I also equate money with, like, buying a house, or, people do these different things or can travel, or they, work in a type of lifestyle where they can, like, be nomadic and go around. I always think of those things and I'm like, oh, yeah, like that makes it seem like it's successful. And if you don't have that, it's non successful. And so, yeah, it was interesting that that's what came up. But I feel like for me, it's because I'm conditioned from society. Um, but then also, one of the later numbers, 14, I put, having money is not necessary for a happy and fulfilling life, right? So there's like things that I'm conditioned by society, and there's also things that I feel like actually I'm abundant in myself.
so let us know, y'all, if anything else came up for you throughout these tasks. I'm starting to love these tasks. At first, I thought like, oh my gosh, all these tasks. And she said they'll take like a certain amount of hours a week. I was nervous that I wouldn't really take to them, but I've started to take to them. And then Geneva shares, I love the one of I'm afraid if I have more money, I will. I said some
Mhm.
people would hear from me less.
Mm, that's
Mm,
interesting.
interesting. Yeah. Um, I'd love to continue this, y'all. This is good. Mm, 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 mm.
But thank you all for sharing. And again, we're halfway through our Artist Way book club. So thank you all for tuning in, for making it halfway with us. If you're just joining, that's okay. All of our replays are on our YouTube channel, so you can watch the replays. Um, but yeah, we're about to go into week 7, which is about connection, which again is really important in our Soultry community. We talk about connection a lot, a lot. So I'm looking forward to what this next
Yes.
week will bring about. So, of course, go to our website and check out our book club page to find out ways to stay connected, all the dates. We're going to keep going every week until April 3rd. So, don't worry, same time, same place. We're going to be here chatting about the book. So, we hope to see you soon, but definitely stay tuned and keep reading because we're already on this path, y'all. So, keep going. Y'all are doing it, and we are so happy to be on this journey with you.
Yes, and make sure to check out DC folks. Tony is having an event this Sunday. Do not sleep. I wish I could be there. I wish there was a virtual option. I don't want to strain you because it's your first in person event. But y'all, if you're in the DC area, definitely check it out. We will see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.